Hi everyone, it's Laura here, and today I'm going to share with you a Christmas card that I created with the Waffle Flower Holiday Thanks stamp set and my Illustrator markers. I created this card for the Daily Marker 30-Day Challenge by Kathy Rakusin, and if you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen that I created this card in several days, and for each portion I shared a little speed coloring video. And I decided that I would share the card making process here on YouTube with the video not as sped up as those Instagram clips, because this is more like a tutorial and those I felt were more like entertainment little clips. I also wanted to let you know that from today until November the 30th, there is an offer on the Waffle Flower website, and you can get some grab bags for $25, and you can save up to 75% on the retail value of the products in the grab bags. There are 3 different types of bags you can get. There are stamp-only bags, die-only bags, and die and stamp combo bags, and I will have all the details in the description box down below, where you will also find a list of all the products that I used for the creation of today's card. As I mentioned, the stamp set is by Waffle Flower and it's called Holiday Thanks. The image is one whole stamp, so it was just a matter of stamping it and start coloring, and I have to say that I really enjoyed creating this card. The ink that I used is the scrapbook.com leather hybrid ink. I wanted a little bit of a warm brown for my stamping because I wanted to create a cozy scene, and this is also why I chose quite muted colors for my color palette today. I started by coloring the bear, and for that I used some browns in the MB family, and I also brought in some EB markers to deepen the shadows and create a lot of contrast. I usually add several layers, and I start with a little bit of a lighter color scheme, and then with the second or even third layer I deepen the shadows and I increase the contrast, because this way I feel I have more control on how dark the final image will be, rather than going in directly with super dark colors. I stuck to a quite muted color palette for the rest of the images too, and I basically used greens, purples, pinks and blues, so I kept the color palette pretty limited, and again I used desaturated colors because this will add to the cozy feel of this stamp set. I am going to play some music while I finish the coloring. As you see, there are marker caps on screen, so you can always see which marker I'm using for each portion of this image, and then I will come back if I need to make any comments on the card making process. At this point, I realized that I needed to figure out what my background was going to look like before going ahead and keep coloring the rest of the smaller images in the set. I wanted to create a warm background with a spotlight effect around my image, so I'm going to blend my markers in a circular pattern, and I'm going to go for some warm yellows and some oranges, still quite muted though. I started by laying down my GY1, GY2, GY3, and then for the outer portions I have BO1 and BO3. The background took a few layers and it probably took more than it needed to because I didn't like the effect that I was getting with that transition with the GY3 marker. So if I had to redo this background from the start, I would skip the GY3 marker because I had to spend quite a lot of time into trying to hide it in a way, and so I had to add more layers than needed. Like for the images, I started with a little bit of a lighter background and then I realized that I wanted to darken the shadows a little bit more, so I'm going to bring in a TN5 marker on the very edges of the background and I'm going to blend everything together, but this time I skipped the GY3 marker because, as I said, I didn't feel it was working with this color palette. So I just went over the areas where I had the GY3 with my B01 and GY2 markers, and I basically almost erased the layer with the GY3 marker. Next, I move on and started coloring the floor. I decided to use some warm brown markers, and again I'm going to blend them so that the outer areas are the darkest and the ones in the center are the lightest, and this will bring the eye towards the center of the image where we have our focal point. I'm also going to add in some cast shadows under each image, so under the bear and all those little presents and letters that he has in his room. And also in this case, besides using the RB markers, I also used some EB markers to deepen the shadows and create a lot of nice contrast. And because at this point the background was completely done, it was easier for me to figure out which colors I wanted to use for the rest of the images. I started from the table, for which I used some golden browns, and then I'm going to bring back in those blues and pinks that I already have on my card, and also I'm going to use some dusty purples and a little bit of those golden yellows and golden browns. I am almost done with the coloring, and for my sentiment I debated quite a bit what to do. After all this work I definitely didn't want to mess up the card, but I decided to just stamp the greeting Merry Christmas from the Holiday Thanks stamp set using again leather hybrid ink by scrapbook.com, and I'm pretty happy with the result. I would also like to know from you what you thought about this video. I had quite a good response to my speed coloring videos on Instagram, and I was wondering if this is something you like seeing here as well, if you find it useful, or if there are any suggestions that you have for me to improve these kind of videos. For example, was it too long or was it too fast? And also, would you like me to go into a little bit more detail with the explanation? So make sure to leave your feedback down below. And as always, I thank you all so much for watching my videos and for all your sweet comments and interactions. They mean a lot to me. If you haven't already, you can subscribe for more card making and paper crafting inspiration. And I wish you all a great day.